What's going on, guys? Good morning. Good morning. How are we?
All good, sir. All good.
This is your Tuesday morning introduction to the blockmates, to the podcast. We're going to be going live almost. We're going to be talking about charts. We're going to be talking about cool shit. We're also going to be talking about the biggest meme of the day, and that is Vitalik and his song, baby. Right. This is the podcast. Let's go.
Damn, it was a mistake getting him to do the intro this week. Oh my god.
Never again.
You know, and you said you wanted to be like a presenter or a news presenter.
Yeah. I've just trashed it, haven't I? Shit.
We'll get you a course. You can go for the course. Sorry. No, but let's I think we had a little bit of a bounce, haven't we? So let's take a look at ETH. I don't look at Bitcoin anymore. You know that now. Let's have a look.
You know what? It's interesting. It's interesting though that you say you don't look at Bitcoin, but what's really amusing is that Bitcoin's doing absolutely nothing right now. It's pretty much stuck between 20,000 and 20,500, and everything else is running. You know, it's running great. You know, we had Friday afternoon. Dan obviously spoke a lot about it in the newsletter, and you know, it was carnage. You know, Jackson's hole was definitely a hole for the markets across the board. And the weekend was just an absolutely depressing, downright depressing. I mean, it was just something to behold. And then yesterday afternoon, kind of like Euro time, things really, market opening in the States, Euro afternoon, things just really started turning around. And then photographs of the illustrious Vitalik came out, and the market's just turned. I mean, we don't know how long it's going to last for, but it's just, I don't know, only in crypto. I actually have no words beyond that.
You know what I really hate myself for is like I drew out like a full trading plan and just didn't even fucking touch it. I mean, it picked up this bit to here, like use that as a bottom wick, but then even on the 4 hour, it was just like, yeah. I think I bought like a fucking tiny amount of AVAX on GMX, that like some stupidly high leverage, because I just thought it's coming into like $18. Don't necessarily believe that the kind of news that was coming out of that camp, regardless. And it looked like a very shoddy penmanship from someone who writes articles all day long. You can kind of tell that was a bit of a paid piece. So I picked some of that up. I think I got like
what was that article about?
Out of it, so.
What was the article about, Grant? I didn't actually get that.
Ooh, right. Let me see if I can bring it up.
Was this to do with pay?
So basically like a TLDR of it was effectively like someone had released a piece. Let me see if I can see Emmons actually. Someone had released a piece, and in it was like Crypto Leaks or someone that released it, and then it was a video from quite recent from this guy who had, yeah. So it's like Emmons released, Emmons CEO of Eva Labs, CEO of, yeah, founder and CEO of Eva Labs. He's responded to it, and effectively on the video, what you've seen is some guy who is like very, very kind of, you know, very cocksure of himself, very opinionated, who effectively worked for this agency, this kind of, effectively this lawyer who he'd said he was exposed to 1% of the supply because he worked in a co-working space with Emin and a couple of the other founders at the inception of Avalanche. So he said he was effectively given like 1% of the AVAX supply. And what his job would then be to do is effectively go after competitors or anyone in the space that was kind of seen as coming up as like competition to Avalanche. So just like file loads of kind of court injunctions, like I don't know, whatever the lawyer speak is, and just like effectively just be a legal head for Avalanche to kind of destroy competition that doesn't look like it's coming directly from them, which is a bit like underhand, but I guarantee that shit happens in the space regardless. But Like it doesn't necessarily look good if projects are hiring lawyers to go after people to kind of stifle the competition and things like that. But then you look a little bit further into it. People call complete bullshit on it. But the video is like, sometimes there's no smoke without fire, but there was like ties back to, like ICP protocol, like the Definity scam that they released, which was supposed to be like last year at some point, it ended up in top 10 on Binance after like a day of listing, and they kind of just all exited, and now it's been completely down only with hardly any bounces since then. So there was ties back to that. I think CZ hit out. Don't know if FTX have hit out as well, but that was the kind of shit way to explain what had happened. So yeah, I can't believe you missed it. It was all obvious though.
I had a bit of a nightmare day yesterday. I just couldn't. I was trying to work. I was trying to write stuff. I was trying to get stuff out for all our wonderful community, and it just wasn't working. And I got sucked into spreadsheets and Word docs, and didn't really get anywhere. And that's why I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. It serves me right.
But it all moves so fast anyway. So like, what happened yesterday is almost like completely irrelevant today. Apart from he posted it today, so it'll be irrelevant tomorrow.
I think you just obviously hit the nail on the head on what crypto is at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought some at 18 yesterday on JMX at like leverage that is ungodly, but cranked to like a 70% move out. So I was happy with that. Wow. It wasn't exactly normal trading size, but I just thought, fuck it, I'm writing all day, so I'm gonna put a little trade on. It's funny when you actually stick to a plan. It actually usually works in your favor, as opposed to just going balls long because everything's pumping.
And what is your plan then?
On that, it was just, it was like the news had already been out. People had started like, like if you kind of let me tidy this up a little bit. News had already been out. That was like the high to low fib, just lingering around 18. People were coming in definitely late short, and so like any late shorts of the market, we were trying to short at 18. It only needed like a couple of small to medium buys on like a liquid exchange to get the Oracle start pumping, and then knock those late shorts out, and then just thought, yeah, let's just play it up to the next fib line, and that's jobs are good. 786 and 618. Jerry, who's RT's mate that says he only ever buys 786 fib retracements? He said that's like strictly his like trading plan. He sees the 786 and he just buys it.
There's quite a few of them. I think that's the school of the rational investor. It's all about the fibs. I know quite a few guys who buy at those levels, but they're primarily from that school of thinking.
But
Brian Beamish.
That's
Brian
all that
Beamish
was.
That's all that was. It's all about the fibs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Simple.
Very. A little look at ETH. What's happening? Seems to have pumped on the news that Vitalik's absolutely hung like a donkey.
Vitalik has just full sent this. Look at that. Look at that.
Actual green dildo.
Actual proper green dildo. Mate, that's not just a parsnip. That is something bigger.
Only in crypto would you get what has unfolded in the last 8 hours. I mean,
it's absolutely ridiculous. Dude, a picture of Vitalik's accidental massive schlong has just pumped the markets, standing next to a random Asian girl in a little zoo somewhere in the middle of nowhere. What the fuck? That guy is like they say, my whole net worth is in this guy's hand. That's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, I had to use my Photoshop skills and shop a ruler in between.
Oh, man. Homeboy's getting laid tonight. Look at that.
Only you would do something like that, sir. It can't be real.
Yeah. Mate, shouldn't he be back with the boys in the basement doing like all that dev stuff to make sure the merge goes smooth, or is he just like giving it to his apes to sort out? Mate, go back to the basement, make sure the merge is good.
Yeah, I've heard a few comments of saying that really is a hard fork.
So I mean, are we going to theorize from a technical analysis perspective beyond Vitalik's very, very telling photograph as to what is going on at the moment? Because, like I said, Bitcoin's done absolutely very little.
Shall I dare bring it up?
Yeah, just bring it up. It's actually it's done very little of anything.
What is that?
Mate, that's confused. That's genuinely confused. That doesn't even look anything like the Ethereum chart. Mate, that's shit, that is.
Oh, God.
So from a TA perspective, it really, you would normally have, Bitcoin doing its thing and then everything else reacting to it. All Bitcoin did was avoid the carnage of going into like below $19,000 and possibly below that red line of yours. So it stayed above that. It's obviously broken its channel, that trend on the channel. I don't know if you saw that, but it's basically gone below since 2012. No, dude, go back on the monthly. Bring down your arrow and go back to the monthly. And then go log. And then just stretch it just right. There we go. So if you look at the trend so just minimize your dates. Go all the way. Just go all the way to 2012. There's a trend that runs from you need to be on the BitMEX chart. So just go top left. Yeah. You'll see that it's broken the trend over the last 2 months, and it's below that trend line since 2012. And what's essentially happened is it should be at the top, hey, Grant? The BitMEX one. Bitstamp, sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't look...
You see, good, you can already see it. You don't even have to draw the line, so that the 2 months with that red one at the top being the last line of defense, we're below that now, and it's been there for 2 months. And dare I say it, but is the narrative really in the crypto space moving away from kind of like Bitcoin?
We spoke about it before, haven't we? But when's the next halving?
It's 2024.
It's a year and a half away. It's the only thing that's going to land up saving this thing is the next halving, even though there's only 1 million coins left. I mean, I say that tongue in cheek, but it's, we're pretty much at 19 million coins. Well, 2 million coins left, but they'll only be mined in the next 150 years.
Because whatever happens here on the monthly, it just doesn't make any sense from a TA perspective. If it pops back in, it looks like it's like had its attempt at reclaiming slightly, or it might take a little bit longer to play out. But then naturally, you think if it's trying to reclaim and hasn't popped back in, you're going to see much further dump. In saying that, if it actually pops back up and completely reclaims it, it's like that's just so like against all rationale. So the uncertainty's crippling at the minute.
Imagine the resistance line, the resistance on that line. From a TA perspective, guys will be losing their minds when it does. It will break. It will go back up. Make no mistake, it will. The lunacy will enter the fray, but to what extent? And to what ends is the Bitcoin narrative playing out to now? I mean, from a TA perspective, Dan, what are your thoughts around this?
From a TA perspective, the thicker you make the line, the more likely it is to hit the trend again.
That's what I said.
That's what Grant just made that line super thick. But
so what you got to do if you want to support the bags, just go on TradingView and make sure the lines are like 4 pixels as opposed to 1. Usually holds as support.
From that, it's broken structure. It's going to try and find a new structure there. but I don't know. Like, you can't really. I don't know best way to word it. It's like we kind of like need the bulls to come back, and I don't think there's been a day or like in like the last 6 months where we've seen like Bitcoin just come out of nowhere and do like a 10% massive like green dildo up. It's always just been like artsy fartsy. And I don't know if that's because like the narrative's changing to other coins or to other bigger projects, and maybe Bitcoin will become the hedge against inflation it always should be, and just be a stable coin in this like new channel that it's going to create.
Well, let's have a look at this. Like, if we're trying to like LARP on being Bitcoin traders for a minute. So, how many weeks have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This was probably the 15 weeks under the 200 EMA. Has this been like the longest, apart from like the bear market beginning November 1918? Like, that's like the lowest point we had from coming back out of the 2017-2018 pump. So we've got to November 19th until
like 20. There's like 25 there, if I'm counting correct.
Well, let's have a little zoom in so we're not like talking shit to the listeners.
Excuse me. But then what you've seen people have been doing
it's
now,
it's like 3 months. It's 3 months. So now we'd be in 1, 2.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but now that because we are under this 200 EMA, people are now starting to go to like the 300 EMA. And I'm just thinking, if we break the 300 EMA, do we then go to the 400 EMA just so then it's above something and we can have a bullish case towards it? This is the thing with all this TA. People's TA fit their own narrative. Like, if you want that to be bearish, that's super bearish. But if you want it to be bullish, you can say we're now creating a completely new structure with a completely new, whatever it is, with a new narrative that's coming along, which means it's bullish. And by the end of the year, we definitely will be 75K.
It's astrology for mentally deranged people.
Oh, mate, full moon soon, eh? Means we're pumping.
Anyway, that's enough of that shape.
Yeah.
It's dead. It's failed every narrative it's ever tried to complete. So,
the thing is, gentlemen, I think for now it's dead. I think it's really important to not be dismissive of the lunacy that enters the market, especially when you've got a large amount of stupid people congregated around one thing. And I think that we will see Bitcoin do its thing again, and we will be on this show. I'm telling you guys right now, we will be on this show, and we will be marveling at the extent of all the green dildos that this thing will generate in the months or even the years to come. But right now, it is dead in the water, and it is hovering at between 20 and 20,500, and the rest of the market is effectively cooking at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Here's something. I know you've just been like LARPing on, but if we just go back to TradingView very quick before going on to the guys at Hero. So here's, if you want actual useful stuff to look at, I like to look at the Dixie first to see what she's doing.
She's cooking, dude.
What the Dixie
just FYI, she's cooking at the moment.
Mate, she is cooking an absolute stormer. Oof.
Parabolic.
BSC honeypot. That's what it is.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Mate, that is a straight honeypot.
So like you can look at the Dixie. Dev removed cell function.
You can like look at the Dixie and then look at something called, you got the USDT.D, which is like the USDT dominance chart. Now, what's super interesting is you can see with this chart whether people are, there you go, whether people are deploying capital or not. And yesterday, if it's up, yeah, yesterday you saw that they just deployed like crazy. They deployed a lot of money. So this, you can see, are people now definitely going into a cash heavy position? Are they risk on, risk off? And they're two just very simple charts to have a look at, just to try and gather a little bit of sentiment as well, which I found like really useful.
Right. So what can we kind of gather from that? So like USDT dominance, whilst shit was absolutely popping throughout November, extremely low at 2.5%. Then we start getting into murky waters in December. Dominance increases. And effectively, it's been up only since then. We had like the slight rally in April, which sees dominance come down. And now it's starting to look like the only problem I have there is like it's reclaimed like the 50. Dominance has reclaimed the 50 moving average. But it does look like it could potentially roll over. But then again, we get this like golden cross between the two AMAs here. It's like, fuck me. I'll be going into hiding if that happens and that rips to like 10%. Good chat there. I'm going to keep that up. Never used that, but that's good.
No, it's just interesting to see. And then if you really want to go into like other things, you can look at like the ETH futures, Bitcoin futures. I was chatting with someone in Discord yesterday. I was like, yeah, so basically what's going to happen today, and I kind of wish I just followed his advice, was with like the Bitcoin futures or the Ethereum futures, you can see where the CME closed and had like a massive gap on Friday. And he was like, yeah, chances are we're going to gap right the way up to about 1520. So it's ETH1 exclamation point. If you do this, so ETH1 exclamation point. There you go. Top one. Yeah. So you can see all these different gaps here in the market from where things open and close. You can almost somewhat predict where prices may or may not jump to and jump between. And yesterday's one was sitting at, I don't know, like 1450 and then jumped all the way up to 1520, which we can see. So they reclaimed that, which is huge. And I think that's why we're still continuing to pump. Then I believe if you look to the S&P as well, that's done something similar.
Yeah, what was really interesting yesterday as well, someone pointed out that funding for, I don't know if it was Ethereum or Bitcoin, was so people were so net short that holding the short open over the course of the year, the premium to pay for funding rate would have been around 30%. So there was that many people net short, and like that kind of came into that AVAX trade where it was like it hits 786. News has already kind of came out. Funding is balls short. That, just think about that. You have to pay 30% over the course of the year to actually keep that short open, because the net, like it's obviously the net flows between the shorts and longs. All that takes is when you know there's that many shorts down at those levels. All that takes is some big fish to come in, skew the fucking spot price, and then those shorts start getting blown out. And effectively, when a short's getting blown out, it's effectively opening the other side of the trade. So that's when you kind of get these like candles up, when people are really late to the party. Funding's extremely hot either side. I mean, it obviously happens on the reverse as well. So
Squeeze, baby.
Just exactly. The vast majority of candles you see, either two, like one of two things, like a fucking idiot not knowing what a limit or spot market buy is, or mass liquidations happening where the liquidations are effectively through an algorithm or bot. You don't necessarily get people moving the markets by, just coming in with limit orders and shit like that. And it doesn't necessarily work like that. So all good stuff. Anything else you want to look up from the big boys?
Yes. When your friends message you on Twitter and tell you the following: do not fade this. You don't fade them. Bone, baby, bone.
80%.
Never, ever fade your friends who tell you not to fade something.
Look at that. That is on a roll.
That's the Zuma candle.
That can only be a Zuma candle. So for anyone who's wondering what this is all about, we had the Doge chain, which I faded. And I think I probably did the right thing, because it seems like it was just an absolute rug fest for those that came in late or not.
Don't you be shitting on my DC airdrop?
Oh, did you get a DC airdrop? Okay, anyways, I didn't mean to shit on your DC airdrop. Respect there.
My dog chain's better than your dog chain.
Hang on a second. There's going to be the Shiba dog chain, or the Shiba chain. Bone is going to be the gas token around this, and it will be deflationary. sooner rather than later. If you are wondering what it's all about, go and check out Zuma's thread on this thing. He's a very, very bad boy, this. Very bad boy. He puts out all this stuff. There it is. No, that's another one, another thread. But Zuma wrote a really good thread about the relevance of what's going on around Shiba. And we all know that when it comes to Shiba, just don't fade it. And I think this is one of those. And when he told us about this, the market was probably at around 50, 60 mil. And, but the market cap's really high. And now the market cap's at 140, I think.
It was at $1 when you posted it. But it's literally just sitting on that.
147 mil.
Breakout.
Not bad, eh? Not bad. So,
anyways,
what's the lessons learned there? Creative threads and shilly backs.
Don't fade those people who tell you not to fade, especially if they have a reputation of delivering on those statements.
If they're really confident about it and you trust them, just do it. Like, just don't even look. Not financial advice or anything like that.
Definitely not financial advice.
Yeah, but
if there was ever a time to deliver that message, now would be that time. This is not financial advice, ladies and gentlemen. Do not.
I wonder how, Dan, have you been paying attention to what's happening on the chain for this? Are people like rotating between this and DC?
I think so. Yeah, I think people are just getting like fat bags of it, and yeah, they're just aping. And like if you look, so I was bored last night, and I looked at some of the wallets that have actually been accumulating this and leash.
Look at the bars.
And mate, they are like massive wallets. One wallet I found had like just shy of like 10 million in. And I'm just like, is that? I'm like, I think I posted on Discord. I'm like, is that an exchange wallet or is that like an actual whale?
Fucking hell.
It was ridiculous,
dude.
Have a look at. I can't even be asked to find it. Why the fuck am I looking on Etherscan for Bone? Like, Jesus Christ, what?
Look on this thing. Yeah, you can find the contract address on Dick's screener, bro.
It's insane. Like some people have been accumulating hard, and it kind of makes sense because when I'm reading the news,
look how many holders
there are. Like ship whales are accumulating. It does make sense with like their game and whatever coming out end of year. But
guys,
mate,
look how many holders there are, bro. There's 56,000 holders of this thing.
But it makes sense, like, bro. Like these are like a cult. These are a cult of people.
Yes. You can't be fading this stuff. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Completely fucked that one, didn't I? Yeah, I checked myself yesterday because I was looking at let's see if Iceberg. I was on SudoSwap looking at these beautiful, glorious board ape derivatives. Let me just see if I can find a few.
Send it to zero.
Oh my god, I saw that. Fuck.
I love
someone posted that on Telegram.
This summarizes it all, doesn't
it? They've been doing decent numbers, to be honest. Yeah, did we mention in the newsletter about 4-digit ENS?
About what, sorry?
4-digit ENS numbers.
I think Grant's about to pump his bags now. Yeah. Just hang on, guys.
Yeah.
Briefly.
These have been doing pretty well. I'll just leave it at that. But if you want to buy a shitload, come ask me. 25 each. 25 each.
Why are they so hot? Well, what makes
just
4 digits
let's go
hot?
back. Let's go back to that. Tell us what's going on here with the 4-digit ENS addresses. Why would there be relevance in these?
Right.
Come on.
Well,
pump your back. Let's go.
How many NFTs in a collection usually?
10,000.
Yeah. There's your answer.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
you can only have like 10,000 4-digit numbers?
9,999.
Usually how numbers work, yeah. The 3 digits now. Oof, don't get me started on 3 digits.
What are they selling for?
Let's have a look. Character set digits.
Probably 8. Wow, as much as that. Wow.
Mate, who's got 420? Bro, whoever's got 420 is going to be huge.
Find it, I think.
Wow. Not really, only 12. Well, 13.
Best offer, though.
13. That's an offer,
yeah. You'll probably get, what? A couple hundred ETH for that?
420 ETH. Has to go more than that pudgy penguin.
But yeah, if like the 3 digits are a leading indicator of this, like all the poors like me are gonna have to buy the 4 digits. So that's the plan. Pluck that one out my ass, didn't I?
I think it's time to go and take a look at that hero token.
I prefer it on here on deck screen.
Yeah, it's better than the FTX one, I agree.
I got some more at like...
Yeah, I got some at
17, 18.
I literally got it at the bottom. Really happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a joke, the market cap at the minute, 88 million. Should we go through the article released on it? So just basically...
I mean, so just to kind of put everyone into the loop here, I'm actually busy with the thread at the moment, just around, like Grant has made reference to Hero being friends of ours, and it's not something that should be taken lightly, because, my history with the Hero community, as opposed to the project itself, extends for an extended period of time of just over a year now. And in crypto, as you know, a year is the equivalent of probably 10 to 15 years, kind of like the dog years thing, versus TradFi. And it's just interesting that, like the value that this thing has is not just around the token itself. Obviously, we've covered the staking value of this thing. Obviously, it is in the token itself. Excuse me, but it's like I'm writing a thread about this community and just what it's all about and who's involved, and the alpha that has flowed from this community. And I think that alpha very much translates into what these guys have created. And hopefully, I can communicate that in the thread that I'm going to publish over the next few days. So yeah, these guys are our mates. We've done a lot with them in terms of, the markets and how they've traded and how the crypto market has traded over the last 12 to 18 months. And we're just kind of letting everyone know that from an alpha perspective, this is alpha. You can choose to ignore it. We've got a 77 million rand, $80 million market cap token at the moment. When this thing is at 2 to 3 billion, we're going to tell you that we told you so. And it's going to happen.
I won't be on stream, and when it hits that, I'll be fucking sailing off into the sunset. Don't worry about that. I won't even be around to say I told you so.
I will be.
Delete account. Yeah. No. Effectively, I sat down in front of a calculator, which really put my kind of ADD to the test. So built a calculator around. Basically, if you were to stake Hero at its current price, obviously it's moved up a touch since, but basically every kind of derivative that gets built on top of Hero. So you can kind of think of it as, think about how Binance has spot, it has futures, kind of has options, but no one tends to use them. And then the underlying value accrual helps out the underlying token. So with Hero, you're going to get an on-chain derivatives platform that people can come and build in options, futures, perps, paramutables, betting markets. I hope they don't do that, because I'll just fucking lose everything that I've ever made on stupid bets. And then 50% of all the fees incurred across the full platform are going to be then redistributed to stakers of the hero token. So it's a 0.05% flat fee, so 0.025% distributed to stakers. So let's say you effectively had 10% of the staking pool, then you'd obviously get 10% of that 0.025 on every single trade that happens across the platform. So what I kind of sat down and did was I looked at current price of the token. I looked at similar kind of products and what their staking percentage was. So GMX, around 85% of GMX is staked, because holding it, why would you hold it if you're going to earn like 30% in staking rewards from kind of value accrual and like organic yields and all that kind of shit. So I just used 85% as a ballpark, and then plugged in kind of projected average daily volumes of, let's say, 100 million ADV, which sounds a lot, but when you're trading options, perps, futures, and things like that, everyone's kind of leveraged to the tits anyway. So if you look at GMX or DYDX or Deribit, average daily volumes, they're like much higher than that. So that was kind of like a low ball prediction. So at 100 million a day, roughly the protocol generates 25,000 in. Well, it generates 50,000, but the stakers get exposed to 25,000. And then put in over the course of the year, if all things are equal over the course of the year, the 7-day lockup would be exposed to 13.5% APR. That's all paid in stables as well. You don't get paid in like any stupid buyback mechanisms or anything like that. I think that sort of stuff's completely dead in the water. So you're getting paid like cold hard cash, 13%, 13.5%. 3-year lockup, so just kind of set hero and forget about it. So it's like 54%. Obviously, they're incentivizing you to lock up longer with a greater kind of increased boost on your APR. Oh, it's not like a boost that it's been pulled from fucking thin air. It's they just distribute higher amounts of the average daily fees to people who are going to be around on the platform for a lot longer, which makes an awful lot of sense. So 13% for the 7-day, 54% on the 3-year, and then obviously that's kind of linear in between, and that's at 100 million average daily volume, which I think they'll smash in a couple of weeks. 500 million, you're looking at like 67% in stables, and then 3-year lockup at 500 million would be 270%, which is like, it starts to get into like stupid territory. It looks like you're making shit up, but it's not. And then it's like at the current price, staking for a 7-day lockup at billion daily volume. That'll obviously take a lot of time. DYDX with perps alone does like $1 billion dollars average daily volume notional quite consecutively. I think they're probably going to lose a little bit of market share given the kind of tornado cash thing, right? I expect them to bounce back, particularly with moving to Cosmos and things like that. So 7-day lockup at 1 billion notional volumes, like 135%. And then for a 3-year lockup, it's 540%. So that's never going to happen. That's never going to play out. And the reason that's not going to happen, not going to play out, those returns in stables are too high for people not to buy the hero token and stake it. Like, the yield will be spread around more people as more people pick up the hero token. So people's percentage of the staking contract or the staking pool or whatever you want to call it will decrease as more people buy hero and kind of take it off the market and stake it into the contract in and of itself. So what percentage APR I looked at was, well, if we go for 20, everyone seems to like think of 20 as this like mythical number for yield that obviously the UST guys went completely nuts for, and kind of a hedge strategy you can pull on GMX, you can kind of get around 20%, and everyone's kind of going nuts for that at the same time as well. So you use like 20% APR as a kind of a baseline industry standard APR. And that's on like the 3-year lockup, not on the 7-day lockup. So if everything's all the same, 85% staking rate, 100 million average daily volume, to achieve a 20% APR with all the people who come in and buy the token after that, the hero token's like, it's still around 2.5x away. It should be kind of technically fair valued at around 50 cents. Do you understand the dynamics of how that's working?
Yeah, but let's put this into like real simple terms. If I put $1,000 in, how much money would I get back?
Right. So $1,000 at 100 million daily volume. You'd get $135 a year if you didn't want to lock it up, or you get $540 a year if you wanted to lock it for 3 years. But that's only if the token price stays the same. If it goes and does a 2x, then you've obviously got 2,000 deposited, and then the APRs change because more people come in and buy. So that's the easiest way to think about it.
Nice. So something like this is good for like a cash-heavy position.
Yeah, like, or even just picking up relatively, like a position that you could happily like sit on and forget about and lock up for the next couple of years. Like an amount where you couldn't care if you sent it to a fucking token contract address instead of your friend's address. Like that, like an address, an amount where it's like, if it does well, it's going to do extremely well for me. But if I lost it over like the course of a couple of weeks of trading the chop, then that's okay. So like the way I'm kind of seeing this, if it achieves the 20% APR for like max stakers, like the price is so far off of what it should be. It's like an opportunity that's just staring me in the face. I'm not saying this is like someone who's already got some. It's just like can't necessarily argue with the numbers. Like if we're hitting $1 billion average daily volume, which they could quite easily far and away exceed that over the next couple of years, particularly with the kind of their backers and the people who are wanting to trade on their platforms. They're all traditional market makers. It's Jump, it's Alameda, it's the big CME guys. Like it's not your fucking Algods and people like that trading on GMX. Like their size is size. So if it's like hitting average daily volumes of 1 billion at a 20% APR for the 3-year lockup, fair price for that's around $5. So what's that in returns? Like a 27.2x return.
It's huge.
That's staring you in the face. So $1,000, 27 grand on, well, about 27 grand on that return if that was to hit that price expected, what I'm kind of putting into this model. And then you're earning 20% on the 27 grand. So like what, 5 grand a year. So it's not bad. And that's up $1,000 down. I mean, this is all like, I'm running the numbers, trying to run models on it and things like that, because I'm looking at it and just don't think it's accurately valued whatsoever. I think there's a lot of shiny things distracting people from it. And we kind of need to, I don't know.
This is where we have to make this the shiny thing, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You make it the shiny thing
in time.
That's a good way. That's a good way of putting it.
When marketing soon.
Someone messaged me on Discord who actually was very thankful for the article that we published. Well, both articles, the token itself, and then obviously the staking rewards and the rest of it. And he had a concern around, the fact that the project had been in development for a long time. And I was like, but are you aware that it's been in development for just over a year? And he's like, yeah, but that's a long time. And I'm like, well, not really, bro. It's like, let's be realistic, because this is the thing, is that everyone's so used to, forks and, the copy and paste scenario where, it's just all very easy and it's all on GitHub and, guys make a couple of tweaks. And this isn't a GitHub project, guys. This is a project that has come up actually in a very, very quickly. I know that the founders have spent very little time with their families. They've slept very little over the course of this period. And you've actually landed up getting a product that's come out the ground really quickly, even though it's been a year. And according to many people, that's a long time in crypto, which it is. But when it comes to building good product, it takes time. And these guys have done it. And I don't think they've done it over a long period of time. I think they've actually done it pretty quickly. And I promise you, I'm going to tell you that I told you so.
I'll be on the beach and I'm at 20%.
You already are on the beach, brother.
Am I fuck? I just sit behind this desk fucking 19 hours a day.
Mate, with a little picture of a beach. Little postcard there. Wish I was here.
No, but we said it before. We're going to be really right or really wrong on this, and I think it's going to be the former, if I'm honest.
Yeah, like you said, there's just too much. There's too many big bags involved in this thing. There's too many players that want to be involved in this thing, and it's just going to do it's going to do what it's going to do, and apes are going to ape. I have a question just around the statement that you made early on, just from the GMX side of it, just to kind of take a huge detour here. Why do you think crypto bros do not participate in options trading?
It's a good question, actually. I'm in the middle of writing a piece for Lyra at the minute. Options on optimism, if I can get my words right. So I've been digging into those guys because effectively the way they've set it up as it's a little bit different. So Deribit, obviously leading centralized options platform in this space, they probably pull in about half a billion volume a day. So not bad at all. But what's interesting is, let me see if I can kind of I can't bring the document up. There could be loads of scribbles that I can't show people in there. So what's interesting is in the traditional kind of marketplace, there's this statistic that shows options open interest, like an options open interest ratio compared to the S&P market cap. So it shows you like interest in options based on the market cap of the S&P. So interest S&P options based on, and that's like super high, and it's kind of correlated very like near enough a 1-to-1, maybe slightly a little bit below, maybe slightly a little bit higher than the futures volumes and the futures contracts traded. So in the traditional markets, options and futures are quite like at parity. They're very, very similar. Whereas the crypto market's matured in a way because of perps, that perps are like, I don't know, $80 billion of notional a day. Like if you have a look at the FTX volume monitor, this is a great tool, by the way. If I remember, I'll leave it in the description. But yeah, so like 92 billion in derivatives volume across like all the top exchanges, and FTX break it down and shit like that. So there's opportunity for options protocols, regardless if they're centralized or decentralized, to kind of fill that gap that the traditional markets have kind of show you. So they can kind of forecast what's going to happen in the crypto space. So the gap being options open interest needs to be at a much higher ratio to kind of the crypto market cap. And that's like, I'll release this all in the article, and it makes a lot more sense than me fucking blabbering on about it now. But there are issues. I suppose the issues you can kind of see as an opportunity as well. So on-chain liquidity for options, particularly in the vaults, it becomes quite difficult for people to actually write and kind of calculate the risk for actually writing the options for people to buy calls or buy puts. There is like kind of inherent risk associated with that. There's opportunity cost associated with that because there's lots of good shiny places to earn yield on top of that. So like the kind of dope structure where they've got like options writers, and they're doing really innovative shit, and I really like what they're doing as well. Probably should cover them. But what Lyra did is say, well, what do people trade on chain? They trade using an AMM. So let's see if we can build an AMM that prices options accordingly. And they've done that, and they've done it really, really well. And the issue being is like it comes back to the liquidity thing, and that's even further afield than options. The liquidity on Lyra, it's quite interesting because if you come to Lyra, you deposit into like the ETH vault. So effectively, your liquidity then is used to be able to facilitate people to buy options on the back end. What you don't want is to be exposed to like underlying risk there if you're going to just deposit stables and hopefully you can generate a yield. So the Lyra AMM will effectively, if the underlying AMM is slightly balanced and the ratio is a little bit skewed towards one side, maybe calls or outweigh inputs, the AMM will kind of rebalance itself internally and go on short or long accordingly on synthetics. And the asset that you use for liquidity on Lyra is SUSD, which is like the synthetic stablecoin. So there's a lot of like big connections in there, but like kind of long story short, liquidity is an issue on chain for options. Opportunity cost is an issue on chain for options. Education's a big factor in that as well. I mean, we've released countless things around options now. There's like a full beginner's guide that we'll put in the description, but it's just multifaceted. But the beauty of it, and I think I can get this across better in the article, is there's a gap for options in general, but the way that markets are beginning to increasingly come on chain, there's an even bigger kind of upside potential. So options protocols are going to do, if they can get it right and get the model right, they're going to be huge. It's already kind of pre-written in the traditional market. So
Grant,
that's kind of my take on it.
Grant, you obviously getting into the mechanics of this thing, which is obviously really important because ultimately, if you want to sell a product, you got to know how it works and what it's made up of, and it's really important that you understand what the intricacies of this thing are, especially if you're trading options. But at the same time, I'm finding that that's not necessarily what's keeping people away. It almost seems like there's this huge like chasm between the ability to click a button and trade the option itself and understanding what it is that you're doing, despite you're presenting the mechanics of the whole thing. But how do you make it appealing for the user to want to ape in on this thing? And I think it comes from my perspective, it seems like it's an education thing. It's like the education is kind of lacking, and maybe there's not enough good news stories because maybe there's too many guys getting wrecked. I don't know. Or maybe it's just one of the best kept secrets in the space.
I think it's completely underutilized because the mentality in crypto is balls long, 100x long, make as much money as physically possible.
Correct.
But sophisticated market players are all about how can I remove risk until I know how to define the risk and reward. So obviously going into kind of the merge territory, like if the merge is like 15, 16th of September, you've got some like really heavy premiums here. So let's say you want to buy a call, 200 strike price, you effectively get to buy ETH at 1,200. If you purchase this right now for 418, that's your premium you're going to pay. So you effectively click on that. And this is what I really like. This is what I really like on Lyra. So it's so simple. Like it's just a very simple kind of user interface where it's like allows the user to say, well, if I pay $418 for the kind of obligation, not the right, not the obligation to purchase ETH at 1,200 on the 16th of September, then at what price do I start making money? And I think this really simple sliding scale. I've asked them to see if they can get on a percentage return as opposed to dollar return on this. So it just shows you at certain prices where you'd be kind of in the money, where you'd be out the money, and where you'd be out the money. And the beauty is with kind of optimism as well, you can kind of go in. You can probably buy fractions of contracts. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to go and buy a full contract on that. You just kind of play around with it. It's really cheap to use. See what happens. You want to have a little speculate on 16th of September when shit's going to hit the fan, which we need to kind of live stream, I think, going into the merge. But I think projects like Lyra, Hero are going to have like really simple user interfaces because I know there are already this community being built around these UIs. Particularly on the like cheaper chains, you can go and just piss about and like you don't need to put like a ridiculous sum of money down. You can just go and buy a contract that you think. You don't even have to buy the full contract. You buy a fraction of the contract and then kind of play it by there and just learn on the job. Like no one came into kind of crypto and just immediately knew what they were doing. They didn't know what they were doing with perps. Like people are probably just kind of figuring that out, even though it's a huge part of the industry. But you just need to play around with these things and experiment, because we've said this before. If you're not experimenting, everyone else will catch onto a trend before you. Then you're playing catch up, and then you're kind of exit liquidity on the back end of that trend. So people need to kind of sharpen the swords and get up to speed to it. We can cover it more. Like, don't get me wrong, we can cover it more. I just think we've kind of done an awful lot on derivatives recently. But you know, just go and try it out, go and play around.
I think that's obviously good feedback. Is don't be scared to experiment. You don't have to go in with a huge amount of money. You can obviously do it with small amounts and see what results you get. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Yeah. Any other charts? GMX been holding up well.
Yeah, so GMX was really strong throughout this weekend's shenanigans. Obviously, guys are staked there. They're committed to the protocol, and it's pretty cool to see. I mean, there obviously was a dip there. It was obviously a good buying opportunity, in fact, for a couple of people.
And you've just got 50% on your money.
Yeah, I mean, this market's crazy. I mean, it just really is incredible how quickly things move. And, you know, if you've got the time, and which obviously I don't, you know, it's like you can really do okay. You know, you've got, you know, we've obviously mentioned Cantering Clark before, you know, and he's been posting quite a bit around, you know, like, what market are you guys, like, people are saying that there's nothing happening in this market. Like, what market exactly are you looking at? Because, you know, like, things are happening, you know, and there's a lot happening. I mean, DopeX is a perfect example of, you know, probably the most uneducated protocol out there, if that's the right term. Well, it's the wrong terminology, but there just really isn't. The education around DopeX is so severely lacking, you know. Perfect example of one of the most incredible protocols that's so underutilized because people just don't know what it's about, and because they haven't been educated around it. Huge potential there.
That goes back to our point earlier, when marketing, right? You got all this cool shit that just hasn't seen the light of day because it's not the shiny thing. That's where, you know, people like us come in. We take the rough, we shine it up, and we present it to the world.
They do their bit, to be fair. It's just apes need to be spoon-fed a lot. So it's like you have to break it down into simple terms and then break that down and fractionalize it even more. So
I'm a big fan of this protocol. Just for the record, that this protocol was one of my most successful plays in this last bull run. Just an incredible protocol. And you hit the nail on the head. It's about being spoon-fed, and with all due respect to the guys that run DopeX, they haven't done their job in educating. They haven't done it properly. I mean, $3.5 grand. I mean, it was above $4 grand at one point. It's just incredible.
I think they've definitely tried. It's just I don't know. Some protocols cut through, some don't. I think this will do extremely well long term. You know, we'll see. Every time I buy it, I get completely wrecked on it. That's a problem. I just need to buy it. I just need to buy a bag and forget about it, I think. Correct.
I did extremely well with our DPX. I mean, I bought it at sub 5.
And are they not having a cash in for that now? So it's like, won't that be like the?
Yeah, they're changing the tokenomics. They are changing the tokenomics of it.
I thought they were doing like a complete cash in for DPX USD.
I wasn't aware of that. I haven't been paying attention.
I don't know.
I sold it top, bro. I sold it top. Come on. And that's not a laugh.
Anything else?
We're good. So we obviously
one more, because I'm seeing a lot of shit come across my desk that are building on Layer Zero.
Layer Zero is very much in the line of fire, isn't it? There's quite a lot of news out there at the moment.
I mean, that volume is dying off a little bit, but I'm going for a meeting tomorrow with someone who should not be named. That they're building some cool shit on Layer Zero, not on Stargate, not utilizing Stargate, utilizing the messaging protocol underneath. So people are coming. I don't know if people are speculating on the STG token being a prerequisite for the Layer Zero token or what, but something happened. I don't know. That kind of been purely listed on Binance. Surely not. I know there was a lot of fuckery going on with FTX. So we'll have to see. But there are a lot of protocols trying to build cross-chain infrastructure using Layer Zero. So
before we leave, please can you go back to the bone chart?
And it just pumped again.
It will continue pumping, sir, because we never fade our friends.
There you go, breaking $2 again.
this will just completely keep going up, and I don't have a bag. So yeah, fuck you.
Don't buy, please. Please do not buy, because as soon as you buy, I know it will go back down to $1.
I bet my DC bag's getting completely fucked as well. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. DC rotation.
Dude, into the SHIB.
It's still on trend. There's a trend in there somewhere. It's still on trend.
No, there's no trend there. The trend's broken, bro. Even I can see that.
Bouncing off support somewhere.
Somewhere. Just draw your thicker lines. I'll get
just draw a line and squiggle and then a dinosaur.
I'll just draw a line at where it is at the minute.
That is support. You're right. There we go.
There we go. Big, thick 4-pixel line.
You never told me that you were a TA guru. It is literally bouncing off that line. Look.
Yeah.
Look, it's bouncing. Look.
Of course it is. That's where you draw a line.
Okay, guys. It's been fun. When is Dan? When's merge? When's your lady merging?
Well, it all kind of like they pressed one of the buttons on the 6th, and then it actually happens anywhere between like the 10th and the 20th when you look at it. So you start with Bellatrix, and then as soon as that clicks off on one of the blocks, then it kicks into gear Paris. So it's going to be a long month of September.
Okay, so when do we officially enter into like a live stream? When do we know what that date is?
We'll know a couple of days out, won't we? I think.
Because it has to hit like a certain point for that then to like flick over. That's why they started off giving like 15th, 16th, and then they've kind of like expanded the time frame to like between the 10 and the 12th, 10 and the 20th.
Okay.
But I think
if it's a Saturday, we should just start. We should just get. If it's a Saturday, we should just get absolutely destroyed on stream.
Oh mate, that'd be great.
We could get quite a few people in here. I know that there's quite a lot of apes on Blockmates Discord and on the Hero Discord that we could get in here. It'd be quite fun actually.
Just drink like 25 cans of Bintang.
And just
I've confirmed my bookings for London for the Zebu Live conference. I'll be seeing you, Mr. Dan. We're going to be hanging out.
Yes, we're going to get into some trouble.
Into the big city in London town. Should be fun. And hopefully we can actually do some work as well, which I'm sure we will. Interview some people.
We'll get a lot.
Oh yeah, doing work at a conference like that's ever fucking happened.
Well,
that's going to happen. It's the whole mission. I'm not getting on a plane and flying off across the world so that I can just go and hang with Dan. I mean, it seems quite an appealing prospect, but that's not the only reason.
Exactly, mate. Hide your wife, hide your kids, because we're going DJing in the real life.
There we go.
Yeah, I'll be at Singapore if anyone's around and wants to.
Is it over this? It's over the same period, isn't it?
End of September.
Okay. Yeah, so the week before the end, and then you go to Singapore after that.
Cool. Blockmates traveling the world. We're going global, baby.
Mr. Worldwide.
We already are. mean, we've got one man in Asia, one man in Africa, and the other one in Europe. I think we're pretty global. We haven't even left our homes.
We need a US citizen.
We need to go. Somebody needs to go to Mexico.
There we go.
I'll go.
You have to clone yourself. Mexico is a good place to go to. Hey? Tulum is a very beautiful place to live in.
Okay.
I could do that.
There we go.
Oh well, that it.
And on that bombshell, we'll see you in Mexico next week, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, please.
Send your remittance slip through.
Yeah.
Right. Is that it? We done?
That is it. Just remember to sub to the newsletter. Yesterday's episode was What the Fed Just Happened. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Loads of alpha in there. Loads of plays. Good times. Good laughs. And yeah, hit that subscribe button. We won't spam you with anything. It's not financial advice. It is always entertainment. Unless you don't enjoy it, then you're just lying to yourself. So hit that sub button somewhere up there, somewhere down there, and just let the good times roll.
Yeah,
right.
guys, just
over and out.
Take it easy. All the best.